Hi, James.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, good.
That's so good. We're both doing good out of lockdown. Lockdown feels like
Yeah,
a time ago, isn't it?
I know. I feel like lockdown became the norm, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. That's for damn sure. Yeah.
What
How have you been?
had one of those weeks where I'm just shedding a skin, removing my identity, just
Wow.
becoming a new person.
A, a new person. And I think me and you are in line with this because we didn't talk the entire week. We were just focusing on ourselves and our missions in life. And we both
Mm,
come to a revelation, I would say.
yeah. What's your
Crazy.
revelation?
Well, I would say, like, gosh, where do I begin? I would say, like, these past 2 weeks in my new role, my multitasking is pretty insane as it is, I would say. And I didn't notice until people would tell me actively that you're just insane, the amount of work you can do. Then I noticed at work it was getting even to another level, which I've never dealt with. Maybe the last time would probably have been uni, this level. And I was just like, each day I was just like, oh my God, it's getting too much. And I would get irritable and I wouldn't eat and I wouldn't drink. I'd have the blinds closed in because I'm still working from home. I'd have the blinds closed in my room, no sunlight, no fresh air. And then I'd just eat, go to bed. And that's where I would be like for the past couple of weeks, I would say. But these past 2 weeks, I was like, look, at the rate that you're going to burn out and bloody fast to figure out a plan. So basically, I found myself just because I'm dealing like with customers, we will say. And I would just be like, there'd be a mountain of work. And if I just reached out to customers at the end of the day and at the start of the day, and just tell them where I'm at, be like, I haven't gotten to your request yet, but I'm getting there. I have all your paperwork and I know what to do. Just give me a bit of time. That would be the morning call. And then I would say the same thing at the night. And by just doing that, by just letting people know where they stand, I found they're more agreeable and willing to understand where you're coming from. So just by being proactive and not being like, oh, I'll just call them in a couple of days when I know what I'm talking about and when I look at their request. No, if I actually tell them I haven't reached that yet and I haven't read it yet, being completely blatantly honest. And don't get me wrong, you get customers that are pissed off. But then I've noticed a substantial benefit for me by doing that for my mental health and just health in general. And then, like I was telling James before, I have so many submissions I need to do on Monday or even today. But I was just like, if I'm just being upfront with people, I'm not stressed anymore. And today, automatically, without me thinking, I was opening the blinds and the window. We had magnificent weather today, nice little breeze. So I had fresh air. I had my diffuser with peppermint in it. And it was really nice. Had me cup of tea, had my coffee, and I'm just laughing and talking to people and enjoying myself, even though I'm really no longer stressed. I have a lot of work, but I found a method to the madness. And then I was like, by me just showing up for myself, by just doing this and stop procrastinating, or stop putting it off, because that, like, it's kind of like, feels like revenge in a way when you seek revenge and then you dig yourself like a double grave. It's kind of that, I kind of see procrastination like that. Like, you may think you're getting away with it in the moment, but in the long term you're screwing yourself and you're making more work for yourself. So by just getting it done, turning off that fear, how much of our lives, like in work and personal, is it just, oh, I'm scared, I can't do it, I can't do it, and then you make yourself into a bigger rut. By just letting it go, that fear, and just switching that part of your brain off and just getting it done, even you may be wrong, you may be right, just get it done, be upfront. I was like, wow, by showing up for me like that, doing little things like this, I can be proactive for other people as well. So it's a domino effect. It's like when you're on a plane and you have to put, like, and if something happens and you have to put the oxygen mask on, they're always just like, put yours on first before you can help your child. when your gut instinct will be like, oh shit, I need to get to the child. But no, it comes from you, it stems from you. And then the light strands of what you can do can just go out to the universe and you can help people. That's what I've discovered these past 2 weeks. And I feel like it's been a revelation. And that's not only helped me in my work life, it's helped me in my personal life. I'm even able to reach out to Alex, for example. I reached out to him to ask how he was. I was there to ask Cherie how she was. She recently, her poor little dog passed away. And I was there to not be like, oh yeah, I'll do it like another day. No, I'm actively doing it now, reaching out to people. How are you? How are you? I'm not putting it off. And I was like, wow, like the feedback I got from that was great. So I feel great, I would say. That's where I'm at. Big revelation, had to be silent on my own to get there, because people tell you, parents tell you, everyone tells you, but you need to get there yourself. Yeah. Over to you, James. What have you learned? What have you, that's me.
I think what I've learned this week is how important it is to be present in the moment and to express how you feel, whether that be sad, happy, whatever mixed emotions, then also to be able to work out what you want to do with how you're feeling, because feelings come and go, they change, they evolve. And I think people like to think things in such a very, nothing's going to change. How I'm feeling today won't change. You can't change it. It's forever. It's permanent. It's not something I can just get over. But when you really break it down, it is just a feeling. If you sit with it,
shall pass. Yeah.
it shall pass. Well, you know, it might not pass right away. It might still keep on sinking in and creeping up and everything, but it's just a feeling. And I think what I learned, you know, this week was sitting in your feelings, getting comfortable in them. When you do feel sad, when you do feel upset, when you do those, you know, moments where you go, ooh, I'm not feeling, you know, 100% right now, is being able to recognize that and be comfortable with that. You don't have to be happy all the time. And then also being able to laugh, to be silly, to be able to realize that, hey, being present in the moment and being surrounded by different people in your work life, in your personal life, sometimes it's really important to actually just sit there and actively observe what's going on. And by observing, often you can pick up the emotions of the people around you and how that influences you. So I went and stayed with my sister, my brother-in-law, my niece and nephew. And my niece was just being what a normal 2-year-old can be. She was in her feelings, a bit tired, a bit hungry, a bit angry, crying, then really happy, just going through the whole emotions. And children are so in touch with that. They can be, like, you know, set off at the smallest thing, like she slammed the door on me and was crying, and
Wow.
you know, and then the next minute she's running around screaming, laughing. And I think like it's really important for adults to realize that children are so in their feelings. 1 minute they can be crying, it's the end of the world, we're never going to get past, you know, what you just took away from me. I wanted that plate here, I wanted that treat now, I wanted that icy pole, or you know, whatever it was. They want it immediate. And I think that's one thing that I think as adults is that we can often feel that it's never going to happen, that this thing will not pass, that it is a permanency, or that, you know, that thing's gone, that childhood's gone. But if you really just stop suppressing what it is that wants to come out and just express it, you often can find that in your tears you start laughing when you look at yourself. You're like, you're fuck. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the way you're behaving right now is pretty comical. And I think like what I've been doing this week is kind of just shifting, changing, evolving, also the way that I see myself, my narratives, what I've been told, breaking that all down, cutting it all up, shredding it. I watched some recycling videos. Obviously, I work for recycling. And it's just so interesting how like something, when you really think, you know, to energy, to form, to everything in life, is that you can just shred it down, break it up, break it apart, put it back together and transform it into something new. And I think so often as humans, we can feel so stuck that this person that we are today is all we'll ever be, and that we won't be able to break it down, change the narrative, or transform ourselves. And I think it's a real feat of a human when they go, that's just the way I am. This is who I know, that's just who I am. I'm an introvert,
like a
blah, blah, blah. We are putting those pressures, those labels, those things upon us, and their limitations. And the more you can tap into that, the more you can break down the mask of what you put on yourself. It's like all these things that have happened. Yes, we've had experiences that have built us up, but a lot of those are the stories that we then tell ourselves based on those experiences. But we can break those stories apart and we can create new narratives. And I think that's one thing that I really learned this week, is that, hey, we might be this person today, but we don't have to be that person tomorrow. And I think also what you said is being comfortable in being and feeling what you're feeling, and then just going with it and trusting that that's where it is. I just kind of feel like this week I've just basically been dismantling who I am internally by feeling it, and then creating a new narrative by it, because we aren't ever the same person that we were a while ago. And I think it's also cemented to me that people can change, and to give them the benefit of the doubt.
100%.
Yeah, but also your time is the most important thing. Like you said, you need to put your oxygen on.
Yeah.
And, you know, dismantle whatever you've built up in your mind, and the scenarios that you've told yourself about other people as well. We often say, oh, that person doesn't like me and all that kind of stuff, where a lot of it's all just in your head.
Yeah. How much of it is your own ego? And it's so easy to hide behind ego. We all have,
and it's so easy to blame someone else.
Yeah.
When often it's to do with you.
Yeah, it's the government, it's this person, it's, well, it's kind of like Michael Jackson's song, like Man in a Mirror. Look at yourself and make a change. Like, it's just, but it's hard. It's interesting though, once you break down that mask, it's very interesting how you then become fully present in your reality. And it's not that fantasy that's in your head. Like, how many times, like, and I think like I speak for a lot of people out there, like when we are attracted to anyone or people, friends, relationships, whatever, it's just that thing of that fantasy that you had in your head, that white picket fence. How much of that is
that
the
perfect person that you idolize, that you praise, that you put on a pedestal, that you sacrifice who you are in those moments to give them the benefit of the doubt, when, you know, often, you know, you're basically creating a fantasy land that isn't an actual reality of the moment. and you're
Kinda
not
like,
allowing yourself to be present. Because if you're actually really present, it's just like, don't build anything up. Don't make them
it's
into something that they're not.
it's kind of
And
that thing
don't,
as well. Like you literally have to, then you realize once you break it down, and it's hard and it may take years and decades, but when you get there, you realize that the answer was always you, that you always had the answer, and you
give
always
me,
come back home to you. And I've learned that from like people, my parents, or even people like my grandparents, or people elderly. They always just were just like, Jess, but you've always had it. It's how you've harnessed it. It's how you've harnessed your reality, and how you, it's like, it's very dangerous to have a lot of friends, very dangerous to divide your energy and to let into your space, and to just be actively aware of the people that you're letting into your space. It's kind of like when you watch motivational like TikToks, like I do that sometimes, or YouTube videos, and they're just like, you don't need to post it, just hustle for yourself and be silent. Because a lot of people love being there at the end of the journey, but who the hell is there at the start? It's you and what you believe in. And then you can like perpetuate that. And then it inspires other people, and they're just like, oh no, she's one of a kind, or I could never do that. She's like one of those like top 5%. There's no such thing. No such thing as the greatest entertainer. There's no such thing as the greatest writer. They have shown their colors because they have cultivated their art. What makes you think you can't do it? You know?
I think that is so true. And I also think that it lies in every single person in breaking down who they were, breaking down their ego, forgetting it. Like, how much of the ego is so much about, like, I'll say, oh, just based on one experience of, you singing a bit badly in a key, that someone can go to you and be like, you're not a singer. Um, to be honest with you, when Roger Federer, hit the ball at like, age 4 and it went into the net, and someone saw that and said, you'll never be a tennis player. Like, no, it's hustling, it's busting, it's breaking down that thing, and it's the self-belief in yourself that, hey, I can break down any barriers if I can just harness and work out what it is that I need to do and how it is to be in this moment, in this present moment, and give my all. Because at the end of the day, giving your best is all that anyone can do. And yes, it might not be the best at that one time in competitions. You could lose it, you can come second, you can come runner up, you can stuff it up, you can fuck it up. Like, that is also, an amazing opportunity to learn, to grow, to, feel a wealth of, emotions of like, devastation. You've trained so hard and it came up short. You thought you did really well, but it wasn't enough. Like, all those adversities and everything and setbacks is just, a vehicle to growth. And it's like the way you look on that, reflect it, break it down, and also disregard it a lot of the time. In that, like, some days, when it comes down to a lot of these things, it's just based down, points and what the judges thought of that. Like, it's really, what's the word? It's really not, I guess, finite. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's really not something solid that you can even regard or go back, because really at the end of the day, it goes down to what society or what the person deemed was the best on the day, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's personal preference, really.
It's kind of
And
like,
that is just a construct, really. It's just all construct upon construct if you really want to break it down.
it's like, don't
So,
your own light for other people. Like, how many people do that in order to fit in? Like, it's just that high school mentality, just primary school, all of it. Like, how much of, I know a lot of people around my age that are still like that. They don't show their light because they can't afford to, because they think they can't afford it, but they're actually really wealthy. They can be genuine, but they choose not to. And you're just like, but why though? And they're like, oh, I've invested all this time in this person. I can't afford to actually change it now. It's too late. For who? It's never too late. You can start doing it when you're 80 or now when you're 30. But, you
Yeah,
know,
I think that's a very much a thing, is like, obviously we're bound by time as human beings. And I think that becomes quite a thing where people aren't willing to, just because you've done something and you can end up having to start
again,
something else
you can go back to
again.
that thing in like a decade. Like, we don't
And
know
also,
here tomorrow
and
or
also,
it still.
and also at, yeah, but, and exactly. And then also at the same time, it's just like, you have so many, opportunities that you could, like, this could turn out to be something that's a better investment, where you could get further in, you know, a couple of years. But then again, it's all constructs really at the end of the day. And if you break it down and, build yourself up, like, maybe you can make something even, bigger than what you even imagine. Often it's in those moments of pulling something apart that you find that you have all this, experience from the previous that sets you up and ready for the next thing.
Yeah. And that's okay. People don't need to understand it as well. I think that's really important to say. There's a lot of people on their journey and then they make comments. And those comments can be dangerous. But as well, acknowledge at the end of the day, you're 24/7 in your head. So you need to do what's best for you. Listen to people and what their opinions are, but at the end of the day, you do you. You know, people can pass judgment easily and without thinking. That's so common. Now, I have a shitty day at work and you tell me something about your life and I may say a shitty comment. But I may not understand the gravity of what I'm saying, but it's going to affect you. So I think just pay attention to that monologue you have in your head and stop doubting. That self-doubt is a killer. You can do it. You're here to do it. The universe believes in you. You're here for a reason. Otherwise, if I wanted to sing and I was like, oh, what's the point? Like Whitney Houston is like the greatest. Like, what's the point? But you're here to tell your story, and you never know. Who knows where you're going to end up? Like, imagine if I didn't say hi. Oh no, you were just like Jess. Like,
well, we know where we're all ending up, either in the ground, burnt, or we're all ending up dead.
So you just write your own story. It's like that scene in like Dead Poets Society when Robin Williams is just like, what is your chapter going to be? What is that line? The play goes on, but it all depends on you contributing a verse or something like that. It goes, what's your verse going to be? Because the play will just keep going on. Yeah.
So true.
Such a deep.
And also, like, I just kind of feel like we are never too old. We are never too young or anything when you really think about it. It's just like, if you really break it down, you're here right now and you can be a million different people.
Yeah.
From one day to the next.
And you need people around you that will accept you like that and not degrade you and throw shade at you. Because we're all in the human experience. There's no right or wrong. There's a morality.
Like you might be feeling pressured to go down a certain path, but deep down that it's not for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot harder and a lot braver to step out than go along with it.
Yeah. And if you figured it out before someone else, don't apply pressure. Otherwise, that person will just, due to their insecurities, may just tag along and just go along with what you're saying, but the core isn't there. So what's the point?
I think so often we just go with someone else's journey, but it's not our own.
Yeah. And we can always choose the easy way out by hanging out with people that we can manipulate, or, you know, it takes a certain personality to do that, but we're all capable of doing it.
I often find that a lot of people will hang out with friends based on a shared trauma.
Yeah. I find that too. And they base that friendship.
But
You don't know the cure, like the pure core of a friendship. It's just that one thing. It's just
and
perpetuating,
it's just
like
like,
misery loves company sort of a thing.
yeah, it does.
I love it. Good chat as always, James.
Same. Do we even get to this week's topic?
Yeah, of course we did.
Sort of.
Showing up for other people as well as ourselves. Yeah. There's
Yeah,
a
I
bit of
guess.
madness, and yeah, that was it. That was ours.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is in showing up for ourselves, we can show up for others.
Yeah. Just be an active participant, because you don't know how long you have on this earth. You just don't know. You just take each day as it comes. Do the best that you can. If you're not fast enough, you're not fast enough. But that's okay. Yeah, good topic. I like this. We got a lot of likes for this topic. I think a lot of people are, yeah, I think they're going to love this one anyway when they listen to it. So I hope you enjoy. And I'll see you next time for another episode of James and Jess's Half Hour. Bye, James.
See you, Jess. Lovely as always.
You're lovely. Look at that dashing smile. Aww.
You too. Look at yours.
Bye.
Bye.